Vissel Kobe continue their defence of the J1 League title in a fixture that brings back memories of the day that they won it. Victory over Nagoya Grampus here at NOEVIR Stadium back in November saw Kobe crowned champions for the first time in their history. They currently sit third in the table in defence of it, ahead of Nagoya's first return since then. Welcome along to the action from Mizaki Park in the city of Kobe. Matchweek 24 of the J1 season, just before it takes a short summer break and the start of Vissel Kobe's summer festival held across their next 3 home league matches. One of real significance for both of these sides. Vissel Kobe starting the day 8 points behind the leaders Machida Zelvia. Nagoya Grampus aiming to return to the top half of the table, having ended a 7-game winless run in the J-League 6 days ago. Here they come. Vissel Kobe have work to do if they're to make it back-to-back league titles in Japan. 8 points behind the leaders going into Matchweek 24, and a reunion with the club that they beat to clinch last year's crown for the very first time in their history. Their opponents, Nagoya Grampus, a J-League original, founder members of it and champions themselves back in 2010. Arsene Wenger, Gary Lineker and Dragan Stojkovic amongst their most famous alumni. The club currently falling somewhat short of expectations set against that storied history. It's been a streaky season so far for Grampus. We will be hoping a corner has been turned by last weekend's return to winning ways. Tough test tonight though, in the heat and humidity of Kobe. They are to build on that vital victory. This means much in the title race as well for the champions, particularly in the context that the leaders Machida Zelvia are currently trailing at half-time. They are already in action today. Well, Vissel Kobe make 3 changes to the side that drew 1-1 at Consadole Sapporo a week ago. Yuki Honda makes way to the bench as Rikutu Hirose reverts to a more defensive role, and Daiju Sasaki comes into midfield. There's also a start there for Yusuke Ideguchi, who, like Sasaki, had come off the bench in the last 3 games. That's because Hotaru Yamaguchi is a late omission and misses his first J1 League game of the season. Their most used sub, Jean-Patrick, gets only his 4th league start of the year in attack. He is in for Kakeru Yamauchi. Hiroyuki Kimura oversees the action, his 12th game of this J1 campaign. It's his 3rd Vissel Kobe home match of 2024, for the first time in charge of Nagoya Grampus this year. Koshi Takasaki assumes the VAR responsibilities in the booth. The Nagoya Grampus side shows a couple of changes to that which beat Kashiwa Reysol last weekend to end their 4-game league losing run. The back 3 remains unchanged, despite South Korean Ha Chang-rai returning to the bench. Yuki Nogami comes into the starting lineup, with Yuki Soma, a scorer last week on his return from a 2-year loan in Portugal, missing out today. Their 4-goal top scorer Kensuke Naga is absent as well, so after 6 straight appearances off the bench, there is a start for Patrick up top, with star striker Kasper Juncker missing a 7th straight game with a hamstring injury. Morishima and Yamagishi will try and provide the creative threat in behind the front man. Takayuki Yoshida led his team to the title last season and still harbours genuine hopes of doing so again. Kenta Hasegawa, a previous title winner himself during his days with Gampa Osaka, coming under a little bit of pressure though in his current role. The Nagoya Grampus fans hoping to see more signs of progress than have been provided thus far. Big chance on the big stage for them tonight. Nagoya Grampus in their change colours, all in the white, having made this trip southwest. Kick-off in Kobe. Vissel clinched the first ever J-League crown after beating Nagoya Grampus on their last visit here back in November. To maintain realistic hopes of defending that title, they need another victory tonight against opponents whose long winless run ended last weekend. It's a tough test for them to follow that up here. An early involvement for Yuya Osako. Last year's main man has been finding his form again. He plays that one forward threateningly in towards the run of Sasaki, and it had to be dealt with. Patrick trying to get on the end of it, will settle for the corner. Osako with goals in his last 3 league matches now, his last 4 games in all competitions. After, by his standards, a fairly sluggish first half of the campaign. Ryo Hatsushi forward from fullback to take the corner kick for Kobe. Positive start in the opening 60 seconds. So in from Hatsushi wasn't a bad one at all, and it hasn't yet been dealt with. The shot when it came was from Sasaki. Muto trying to pick up the pieces here and return it. He does so, but it's clutched by the experienced Australian goalkeeper Mitchell Langerak. Wasn't overly extended by that one in the end, but the early pressure from the home side. Decent distance on the clearance from the keeper as well. 8 times capped Australian international. He's in his 7th season with Nagoya Grampus. Reportedly, potentially his last season. It's been linked with a return home at the end of the year. Currently captains this side, who are trying to launch their first attack of note of the night. Goal scoring has been the issue for Grampus this season, certainly. Only slightly better than a goal a game. 24 scored through their first 23 fixtures. But this is much more threatening from them in towards Patrick, who is able to get it goalwards, and Maikawa makes the save. The referee has now pulled it back, as I rather suspected he might, although the free kick not to be taken from there. Flag did go up. Yeah, just offside, I think, Patrick. As Morishima played it through to him with a really well-weighted ball. And despite the presence of Yamakawa, he was still able to get the shot goalwards. Probably shouldn't have been allowed that opportunity, but it was ultimately academic. The 36-year-old Brazilian coming back into the starting lineup today, having been brought off the bench in each of the last 6 league matches. It's a painful one for Inagaki. Had eyes on the ball, but he was clearly caught as Jean-Patrick came across. Significant impact for the former Sanfrecce player. Travelling fans grateful to see him back on his feet pretty swiftly. Been a stalwart of the side this season. He's featured in all but 2 league matches. And towards Patrick, here is Morishima. Nogami, one of those brought into the team tonight. It's just going to skip away from Jean-Patrick, despite the fact that it didn't actually go out of play. Kuni able to return it to his goalkeeper, but possession gifted back to the home side here. Jean-Patrick's ball in was just deflection behind Osako. Beyond Muto. Towards Osako again, whose header is watched wide by Langerak. 22-goal joint top scorer in this division last season. And 7 in the current campaign. But as mentioned, 3 of those coming in his last 3 games. And this was a useful position that he found himself in. He would have maybe backed himself to do a bit better with it. that type of territory. League's MVP in 2023, and the team that took the title before he signed a new 3-year contract extension at the age now of 34. As the Champions League commitments to come in the autumn as a result of that title success could stretch this squad in the closing months of the league season. And trying to stretch the Nagoya Grampus defence here. Muto, it's a clever ball, opens up the options, and Jean-Patrick stretching, couldn't quite reach it. Nearly, but not quite. Sums up their start really through these first 5 minutes or so. Lovely ball from Yoshinori Muto in the build-up to that. Jean-Patrick, who's yet to score in the league this season, their most used substitute, trying to take advantage of only his 4th start of the J1 campaign. He's been prominent early on. And Agaki made a bit of a meal of that. They've lost it again here with Nagoya Grampus. Jean-Patrick back down the line for Hatsushi. Matheus Tsula, the highly rated Brazilian centre-back, turns it to his goalkeeper, Maikawa, Japanese international, won his 2nd cap for his country in June, representing his home city side, an 8th year now with Vissel Kobe's senior squad. 8 clean sheets to his name in this league this season so far. Yamakawa forward, asking Muto to chase it. It's asking a lot of him, and it's asking just a little bit too much of him in the end. The early chances have been heading his way. Jean-Patrick. There's the ball from Muto. And it was Osaka who tried to provide the service for Jean-Patrick. Not a lot wrong with the ball either, was there? Just couldn't quite reach it. Does have a couple of goals in the cup competitions this season, without yet opening his league account. Patrick, neat little touch, opens up the shooting opportunity, which was well held by Maikawa. They will look to get players forward from midfield, Nagoya Grampus, into those sort of situations. Patrick's dropped a little bit deeper this time to get involved and win the free kick. He was clearly caught right in front of the referee. Hara, who came across with the challenge and made the contact. Oh, an early sighter for Nagoya Grampus. Yamagishi with just the 1 goal so far in this league season, making a 7th straight start. His first year at the club since they signed him from Avispa Fukuoka, with whom he won the League Cup last year. It's been a useful addition to this squad for this season. And this is a useful position for Grampus from the free kick. Shima looks like the favourite to take it. Shida is lurking just beyond him as well. B Morishima, and it's just too high. Never really had Maikawa in goal worried with that one. Well, conditions could play a part. Temperatures still touching 30 degrees Celsius out there this evening. There has been an extreme heat warning in place in the Hyogo prefecture earlier in the day. Humidity at around about 70%. Last game this before the little mini summer break for the J-League. A lot of the clubs will be involved in some high-profile friendly matches, including Vissel Kobe. some defending to do here. Set to take on Tottenham at the National Stadium next weekend. Business to take care of first in pursuit of the retention of their title. Did just get his foot to that first, I think, Hiroshi, which enabled Sasaki to come away with it. He was then bundled to the floor by Nakayama. The good news for Vissel Kobe so far today, the fact that Machida Zelvi are the leaders, team 8 points clear of them at the summit, and currently 2 behind at home in the early stages of the second half against Yokohama F. Marinos. Kashima Antlers also involved at the top, are 2-1 up against FC Tokyo at the same stage of that game. There's Sasaki, just waiting for the ball to drop into his path. Jean-Patrick takes over though, and has covered really good ground here. He had Osako in the middle, it's cut out by Mikuni. And cleared pretty convincingly. Patrick wanting the free kick, not forthcoming this time. Mentioned the conditions in terms of the weather, the pitch cutting up and a little bare in places as well may play a part. The roof is open tonight at NOEVIR Stadium. Nagoya Grampus have not tended to travel well recently. They've lost their last 4 away league matches now coming here. Saudi lost their first 3 games of the season. Took 16 points from the next 18 available, but they've struggled again since then. They were 7 without a win, 4 straight defeats before that victory. And they came from behind to beat Kashiwa Reysol 6 days ago. Looking to get their noses in front here with Patrick. They have seemingly settled into their stride after the early pressure that had to be withstood. Nogami giving as good as they're getting and seeing as much of the ball really as the home side. Mikuni back to Langerak. Sasaki, caught by Inagaki. It's a midfield duel to keep an eye on between those two, one of many. It's only the 1 game last season. Sho Inagaki's been a regular again this year. Vissel Kobe certainly will miss Yamaguchi though, absent for the first time this season today, a little surprisingly. Maybe an injury issue picked up. He'd played in every game and started all but one of them before this evening. Notable injury absentee for Nagoya Grampus continues to be Kasper Juncker, the top scorer last season when he got those 16 goals. On loan from Urawa Reds, he made it permanent for this year, but he's struggled first with a knee injury and now a hamstring problem, which has sidelined him for the last 7 games. Patrick, the target here, is the one really charged with assuming that responsibility instead. Morishima forward. Now Nogami, who continued his run. Finds himself a little bit out of position as a result of that run though, and Jean-Patrick able to try and exploit the space. Hatsusi helping him out as well, forward from fullback. There's an important block by Inagaki. recorded in this opening quarter of an hour in Kobe. Vissel now unbeaten in their last 4 league games. They've only lost 1 of the last 7. They do avoid defeat today. Would actually be their longest unbeaten league run of the season. Swinging too close to Langarek by Okihara. But that statistic sums up to an extent why they go into this weekend 8 points short of the summit. While they still have a lot of work to do if they are to retain their title. It's still possible from here, certainly. They're not quite where they want to be at this stage. In this recent run, 2 wins and 2 draws in the last 4 league games. It does suggest they might be finding their best form when they need it most. Ahead of the latter part of the season, the business end of proceedings. Kawa's clearance just missed by Muto. Kawazura will return it with interest. Been strong defensively, Vissel Kobe at home recently. They've only let in 1 goal in the last 3 home league matches here. 2 in the last 5. Forward by Hatsusi, that's been cut out though. This is Patrick. He was unselfish. Now battling to win the ball back. He does get his foot to it as well, but doesn't get the free kick. Good ground covered instead by Hatsusi. He's put a bit too much on the final ball. A regular starter recently. Hatsusi. 7 of the last 8 games, and you can see just how productive he has been from fullback in this division this season. The other fullback, Hiroshi, playing at right back tonight, was operating at times last weekend on the left wing, showing his versatility. In that defensive role today, with Honda left on the bench. Set back for Nagoya Grampus to be without Yuki Soma as well. He scored on his return to the club last weekend in that victory against Vissel. Being out on loan in Portugal with Casapia for the last couple of seasons. Unavailable tonight. Easing his way back into action after so long out of the picture. Won't get another go at this yet. Uchida. They play with a 3 centre-back system, but the wide centre-backs do like to get forward at times. Uchida and Kawazura, cases in point. Familiar way of playing under Kenta Hasegawa. Indeed, Vissel Kobe's approach under Yoshida has changed very little from last season's title-winning team. There have been some alterations in personnel since then. They play the same way, very physical side, very aggressive side. He likes to press, like to make runs forward from deep. Not always been at their best this year. Still within striking distance. Osako certainly hasn't posted the same sort of numbers as that remarkable 2023, but he too has been finding his form of late. As has Muto really alongside him. This bodes well. They have to remain switched on at the other end here, and that just bounced away off Patrick. He'd made the run, he'd put himself in position, and frustrated with himself that he then couldn't apply the requisite control really to make more of it. His presence has been important early on in these first 20 minutes. Muto and Osako, who I was mentioning, the joint top scorers now for Vissel Kobe this season, with 7 alongside the new signing for this year, Miyashiro, who's currently sidelined with a foot injury, the former Frontale player. Morishima for Nagoya Grampus, at least he was the target, good defending. Denied him a sight of goal. Ball over the top from halfway from Enaki, and almost had him bearing down on goal. May well have been offside. But Susi wasn't going to take the chance anyway. He timed this really well. Made sure he got his foot to it first. There he is again, Hatsusi. Shihashi forward, trying those sort of balls fairly frequently. Again, Morishima had made the run. And there's the slip from Tula, and the goal is gaping. And Patrick takes full advantage and slots it in. Gifted to him, really. But he showed great composure to make the most of it, and Nagoya Grampus have the lead. And Patrick, on his return to the starting lineup tonight, able to celebrate only his second goal of the J1 season. But Matheus Tula, normally so reliable at centre-back, one of the outstanding players in his position in this division, is culpable here. Took the pass from Hatsusi and let it slip away. With Maikawa out of position in goal. Just got his feet all wrong, really, Matheus Tula. And that was instinctive from Patrick. How his side needed that. And he scored in the victory at San Frecce at the start of May. His only other goals this season came in the second round of the League Cup. He's marked his recall with a crucial contribution, one that Matheus Tula and Vissel Kobe will want to forget and want to move on from as quickly as they can. Made to pay by Patrick. He's in his first season with Nagoya Grampus, after reaching double figures last year in this league with Kyoto Sanga. To prompt his move, it's his 12th successive year playing in Japanese football. Very familiar figure in this league, and back amongst the goals. Grampus had failed to score in 2 of their last 3 away trips, but they have something to work with here. Jean-Patrick, just taken away from him. Kawazura will prevent the corner. Well, it's a 9th straight game in which Kobe have conceded now. 3 clean sheets this season, but the last of those was back in the middle of May. Taken by Nogami. Did them a slight disservice, actually. 8 clean sheets in total. But this defence, normally so strong, hasn't quite been at its best recently. And they were disappointing in only drawing at the bottom club Consadole last weekend. In that 1-1, they had to come from behind in that one as well, as we reach the drinks break. Much needed in these conditions tonight, with Patrick's goal the difference, and Vissel Kobe, who started fairly strongly and have had the majority of the possession, have not been able to make it count so far. Nagoya Grampus a bit less of the ball, but they've done more with it up to this juncture. Hasegawa, who arrived with such An impressive CV. Hasn't quite gone according to plan during his 2.5 seasons now in charge. And the treble, famously, with Gambo Osaka when he was the J-League Manager of the Year in 2014. Past 800 matches as a manager late last year, vast experience. 124 of them now with Nagoya Grampus. And he has won less than half of those. Aiming to take his team back into the top half of the table tonight, if they can win this one. Jean-Patrick with the issue. With Nogami, seemingly came off the worst. Clearances by MEIJI, got plenty on that. Home fans hoping for a response now from their side to the self-inflicted setback, really. That's Susi. Jean-Patrick, Ogihara, he really has established a regular role for himself in this midfield. Only missed the 2 games all season. Susi shaping up for the long throw. Ogihara really cementing his place in the side after that major injury that Mitsuki Saito suffered last year. He hasn't played at all in 2024. Susi with a throw. Plenty of power on that. Quite the accuracy from Hiroshi. He caught hold of it all right. With the time to set himself here. Wasn't too far away. Suggested he thought it had a chance when it left his boot. It just didn't quite come back quickly enough. Did score in the 3-1 victory at Sanfrecce in July. Only his 2nd ever career goal in this division. New signing for this season from Kashima Antlers. He faced his former side recently, actually. Here's Patrick again. Hoping it on for Nogami. Good ball back in. Kobe get a little fortunate with that. Plenty in support of the attack in white. Patrick is having quite a night so far. He was heavily involved again. Nogami with the throw. Gets it back to feet. It comes off at Jean-Patrick. That's a Grampus corner. Grampus 8 as they're still nicknamed, although no longer officially titled. It was dropped at the start of 2008. It harks back to the days of Arsene Wenger in charge and Gary Lineker leading the line. It was 2010 when they won their first J-League title. Dragan Stojkovic, who played in the same side as Lineker, actually under Wenger, was the manager back then. Here comes the corner from Morishima. Patrick rising. Cleared away by Sasaki. It's a J-League original, one of the 10 founding members to contest the first season back in 1993. A 7th straight year back in the top flight. After 2017's promotion, relegation the year before had ended a run of 26 consecutive seasons in the top flight of Japanese football. They are one of the country's famous names. Vissel Kobe, in some contrast, has done it slightly differently. Last season's title, the first in their history, and they became the first team promoted to the top tier after the J-League era had begun to win the title. Previously played actually in the third tier. Won by Jean-Patrick, it wasn't done with, and it's flashed over by Muto. From a wonderful position in front of goal. Oh, that was the chance to level it. Didn't look too much danger initially. Osako did really well though, as he so often does. In by Jean-Patrick. And it just seemed to bounce up in front of Muto, which is why he got underneath it. And he's been in good form of late. He will be frustrated not to have made more of that opportunity. And there have been many others in the side that Vissel Kobe would have wanted it to fall to. 3 goals and 2 assists in his last 6 games now for Muto. He scored once in the Premier League during his time at Newcastle. Free kick conceded by Yamagishi. They would be booking a recent trend if they are to win this one. Nagoya Grampus, Kobe have come out victorious in each of the last 3 meetings between the clubs, and here they come in pursuit of parity tonight. Jean-Patrick with the ball in, free header, squeezed it, and it maybe had been coming. 1-1, well-crafted goal for the champions. Sasaki in the right place to profit and get his head to that. Direct it between Langerak and his post. Came from the longer ball forward initially. Muto was involved, as was Jean-Patrick. And it's the 3rd goal of the J1 season for Deju Sasaki. Got a hand to it, did the goalkeeper, but he couldn't keep it out, couldn't quite get down quickly enough. Well, Sasaki has had to be patient recently for his opportunity. He's come off the bench in the last 3 games, but on his return to the starting 11 tonight, he rewards his manager with a goal as well, just as Patrick had done at the other end. And the pressure is rapidly rewarded. First in this division since the 3-2 win here against Albirex Niigata at the start of May. There was a score on the opening day at Jibalo Owata as well. On target more recently. Just over a week ago in the Empress Cup. 3rd round victory against Tokushima Vortis. But there was much to admire in the build-up. The space that they exploited. A little concern over Muto before play can resume. Again, he was involved, Yoshinori Muto. Just moments after he had been presented with a big chance of his own. Kobe weren't left to reflect for too long on that one getting away before they got themselves back on terms, thanks to Sasaki. He's risen through the ranks in Kobe. He's only 24, he's in his 7th season already as part of the senior squad. He scored 7 times last year in that title-winning team. Another important contribution tonight. They're still missing Muto for the moment, but it looks like that's about to change. Yamagishi working it wider. Nakayama is the one who provides the cross. They've not really been able to get him into those sort of positions too frequently so far. Patrick calling for it. Instead, Muto is motoring away, slipping it through for Sasaki, forced a little wider than he would have liked. And they did have plenty in the penalty area at the end of that. It's the physical, hard-running nature of this side that I was mentioning in evidence again, turning defence into attack pretty swiftly. Some reward to come from the corner at the end of it. Susi going across to take it. Can Vissel Kobe turn this around before half-time? Only failed to score in one of their last 8 games now. That goalless draw with the leaders Machida Zelfia towards the end of June. Swinging delivery met by Sasaki again, got something on it. Those came back his way from Ogihara. Well, they didn't panic, did they, after going behind? In frustrating fashion in which they went behind. So they had to move on from it pretty swiftly, and that's exactly what they've done. Now they're going in pursuit of more. Ogihara swings it in, almost came for Osaka. Mateus Tulu was in there as well, it didn't quite reach him. Going in search of further atonement after the part that he played in the concession of the opening goal. One of his own from centre-back so far this season for the Brazilian. It's the smart reactions of Kennedy Egbus Mikuni that denied him here. Just getting his boot to the ball first. Had a good season, Mikuni. Here's Mateus Tula. Mikuni, formerly of Avispa Fukuoka, had 5 years there. He's in his first season with Nagoya Grampus. Slotted straight into this side this season. Given the free kick for the earlier one. Just adding to the frustration for Yamagishi. A clash of heads there between he and Yamakawa, right in front of the referee. Well, having to move on swiftly as well from that frustrating draw at Consadole. Had been on a long losing run, the bottom club, before it finished all square in Sapporo a week ago. Notice that they'd beaten 6-1 here earlier in the season. Made by Mikuni. Back in towards Muto. Nakayama just did enough initially. And the whistle had gone. Kobe were 2-0 winners when these sides last met in Nagoya earlier in the season. It was back at the start of May. And of course, famously beat them here. The penultimate game of last season to clinch the first title in their history. Such fond memories of that fixture. Those travelling fans rather less so. Kobe have beaten the club's last 4 meetings in all competitions. Nagoya Grampus winning only one of the most recent 6. Came in the League Cup last season when they were drawn together in the group stages of that competition. We'll restart with the drop ball. Home fans and 1 or 2 of the players weren't particularly satisfied with that. Back in it goes, and gathered up by Langerek. Final 5 of the first half at NOEVIR Stadium. Until beating Nagoya Grampus here in that aforementioned most recent meeting in November, Vissel Kobe hadn't won any of the previous 3 home games against today's visitors. Didn't score in any of those matches. The trip has often tended to be a pretty productive one from Nagoya. And that will be a free kick. With Muto going down, he wants further action taken. Will referee Kimura oblige here? Kept his card in his pocket until now. And it looks like that might remain the case, and this could just be a lengthy lecture. Clearly got player and not ball. Hashi is the player involved for Nagoya Grampus. He won't get away with many more of those, I wouldn't have thought. Former Casio, a race-on midfielder. He's been a regular recently. It's an 8th straight start for him. A lenient approach continues for now from referee Kimura. Hatsusi. Should be fairly comfortably dealt with and was. This is Patrick. Able to help it on into a little more space for Inagaki. That space didn't last long, did it? But he did well enough. And then Morishima just slipped when playing the pass. Yoshida. Nogami. Inagaki got something on it. This is Kawazura, Nakayama. Nogami. Who could want to control that tight to the touchline? Chida. Permanent member of this squad after a couple of years on loan, helping it forward. Helped on by Yamagishi, and then flashed only into the side netting by Nakayama. And well positioned. Provided the spare man in the attack. Because Vissel Kobe were stretched here. Found a little bit of space. Katsuhiro Nakayama, but not quite the space to squeeze in the shot. His only goal this season coming in the cup competition. Does get the corner out of it, which is taken short. Plenty still to aim at in the middle, but a confident, comfortable play by Maikawa. Didn't really have to stretch to reach it. Such an important member of this side. His dad won 17 caps for Japan. Kazuya, and Daya with a couple of his own now. Having first been called up in March of 2021, he had to wait until November of last year for his debut. Added to it when he started the World Cup qualifier against Myanmar in June. He went to the Asian Cup as well earlier in the year, but didn't get off the bench in that competition. Now here comes Yamagishi, trying to test out Maikawa maybe, but the block was made before it got that far by Yamakawa. They're actually ending the half pretty strongly, Nagoya Grampus. They got themselves in front and then rocked back again. Their lead lasted 11 minutes. They've certainly recovered their collective composure since the concession of the equaliser. started to reassert themselves again as we go into 3 added minutes at the end of the half. Shihashi forward here. Held again by Maikawa. Towards Osako. Jean-Patrick. Still in there tussling for it. He's given the free kick away in the end. Combination, I think, of he and Ideguchi. He struggled out too much influence so far on his return to the starting lineup. He hasn't started as many games as many might have expected when he signed from Celtic ahead of this season. Yasuki Ideguchi had been on loan at Vispa Fukuoka from the Glasgow club last year, former Gamba Osaka player. Dealt with by Hatsusi. And again by Morishima. They're asking the majority of the questions at the end of the half, aren't they, those in white? Trying to establish an advantage for the second time in the game. Wasn't a bad ball in that by Morishima. And Yamagishi didn't quite have the space to do what he was attempting to do with it. Patrick's influence has waned a little bit as this half has gone on. He was very prominent for Nagoya Grampus up until and maybe just beyond getting his goal. Been quieter since then. Here's by Nogami. And again. Just over the head of Osako. May well be the last attack for Vissel Kobe of the half here, so they will leave it for Hatsusi to potentially launch this into the penalty area again. Mateus Tula's made his way forward for it, probably in the knowledge that there won't be time for him to have to get back again. Oh, Hatsusi, not quite as intended, I think it's safe to say. It's something of an understatement. Well, you don't see that too often. It's actually going to be the last action of the half. Here we'll have 15 minutes or so to reflect on that, as will we on what has gone before, what's been an eventful first half. Patrick giving Nagoya Grampus the lead midway through that half. It was gifted to him somewhat, but Sasuke's equalising goal followed 11 minutes later to get Vissel Kobe back on terms. Both have had little spells on top in the game, without either quite being able to do enough to lead at the interval. So at half-time at NOEVIR Stadium in Kobe, it is Vissel Kobe 1, Nagoya Grampus 1.
MEIJI YASUDA J リーグを熱くサポートいたします。
MEIJI YASUDA J リーグダゾーン
浦佐々木大。
So welcome back. We're almost set for the start of the second half at NOEVIR Stadium. 1-1 between Vissel Kobe and Nagoya Grampus, who did lead in that first half. His goal somewhat gifted to them by Matchweek. And Vissel Kobe capitalised in some style by Patrick, but it was a lead that lasted only 11 minutes. Deju Sasaki with the equalising goal. Well crafted for 1-1. What will the second half have in store? Nagoya Grampus looking to return to the top half of the table. Vissel Kobe trying to close the gap on the leaders in defence of their title as they get the second half underway. So here we go at NOEVIR Stadium. The champions did beat Nagoya Grampus to lift the crown here last year on their last visit. They will have the opportunity to close the gap on the leaders as well, because Shida Selvia have been beaten today, full-time now in their home game against Yokohama F. Marinos. 2-1 to F. Marinos it has finished. That's the good news for Vissel Kobe. Kashima Antlers, though, have won. They've beaten FC Tokyo 2-1. So as it stands, Kobe slipping a spot. Currently fourth in the Live League table. They need to respond in this second half, but the referee is going to intervene here. Give the free kick, but sufficient concern over the players' well-being to bring a temporary halt to proceedings. Yamagishi actually collided with his own player. He got the first touch to that, and then went down after that collision with Patrick, and has stayed down after that collision with Patrick. The striker who started the scoring into an open goal in the first half. Opted to make a change at half-time. Kenta Hasegawa having to wait to see potentially whether he might need to do something here. Both are without key players already because of injury. Pretty innocuous here, took it down on the chest. Glancing blow from Patrick. Led to concerns maybe over whether Yamagishi can continue. Concerns shared by those travelling supporters. Already without Kasper Juncker and Kinsuke Nagai in attack. Yuki Suma missing today as well. Playing back underway, looks like Yamagishi's ready to come back on. Decision, of course, isn't entirely his, given the nature of the injury, but he is back into the action. Patrick then caught. It's a free kick to Grampus. Here, the ball really coming in from behind, Mateusz Zula. Never one match down earlier in the season for the yellow card accumulation. The Brazilian, it's the only game that he's missed actually all season. Former Flamengo player. Still no yellow card for anyone out there tonight, but a free kick to come for Nagoya Grampus. Position of some promise given the numbers that they've committed to try and attack it, but it's not quite threatening enough. Sort of area, wasn't it? Floated into Yamagishi. Did want to get on the end of it, but never quite troubling the target. Did score his first ever league goal for the club in the victory last weekend against Kashiwa Reysol, did Yamagishi. Goals actually this season coming against the same opponents, also scored against Reysol in the League Cup. It's the winning goal last weekend, 6 days ago. 10 minutes or so into the second half of that game. changes at half-time. Just a reminder of the lineups going across the bottom of your screen. But they do still have everybody available in reserve. The players not able to feature. Vissel Kobe missing Gotoku Sakai as well. It's worth a mention at this juncture. It's the third straight game since he broke his foot at the end of June. He'll be sidelined for a couple of months yet, we suspect. 42 times capped Japanese international, a big miss in this side. Chase on for Sasaki here. Jean-Patrick able to take it down, just too far in front of Osako. Hatsushi. The intention of Sasaki was to return it to him. Just denied really the room to do that, but this might break for Muto. Now Osako. Plenty back in white in the way, forcing them out wide again. Hatsushi trying to swing in the cross. Cannons behind for the corner. So Kobe just trying to re-establish their authority early in the second half. Trying to impose themselves on the game again. Attempting to make it 4 unbeaten at home in J1. They've lost only one of the last 6 here in front of their own fans. That solitary goal defeat against Tokyo Verdy at the end of May. There's the corner. Towards Mateus Tula, who was rising but couldn't quite reach it. Getting towards Jean-Patrick. Muto. Never quite sat for him, but he'll maybe settle for that in the circumstances. Another corner to come. Opportunity to keep the pressure on for the Ushi here. Goal hasn't maybe been as busy as he might have expected so far tonight. A little more delicately this time. Mateus Tula will chase after it. By Mikuni. We're going to let that go anyway. Nakayama claiming he was fouled. The appeals continue. Have to remain switched on though. To Grampus with the ball back up their end again. Yamagishi. Yama had stayed forward. Didn't quite reach him. Maikawa sorted that. There was another potentially costly slip just prior to that though. Been uncertainty at the back, both ends of the field actually in this contest. Neither have looked particularly secure. Position deserving a share of the credit in each instance for that as well. Yamagishi looking for Nakayama. Second favourite initially. He's up against Yamakawa here. His ground in the end. Sushi Yamakawa. Towards Patrick by Inagaki. That's a better little spell for Nagoya Grampus there. Asking a few more questions rather more frequently. Continuing the pattern really of both teams having little spells on top in the game. Neither quite being able to extend those spells into greater dominance. Morishima to take. He has tended to be at the centre of most things for Nagoya Grampus this season. Necessarily backed up by his numbers really in terms of goals. There's 2 of them. 2 assists so far. He's a key player in this side. He takes the corner. It's returned goals and in! Returned emphatically into the top corner by Sho Inagaki. Brilliant. Oh, instinctive effort, super goal. And the Nagoya Grampus lead is restored. want something special from that type of territory, and he has just provided it. Huge grins all around. That's outstanding technique. That's incredible. Goalkeeper might feel that he could still potentially have kept it out, but he was as surprised as anybody, really, and almost dived beyond it. Caught it flush. And it just brushed, maybe, the head of Muto as well on the way in, which might just have deceived the goalkeeper. But take nothing away from the sweetest of strikes. Sho Inagaki restores the Nagoya Grampus lead at 2-1 with his third of the J1 season. That little period of pressure that had just been beginning to build has been rewarded. Check it, of course, but it didn't take too long. The goal is good. The goal was very good. And the visitors lead again. He scored at Sagantosu in the middle of May. He scored actually at his former club Sanfrecce a couple of games before that. And he's now equalled the 3 goals that he managed in the entirety of last season and Sho Inagaki, and that is one to remember. Champions behind at home, and with it all on again. Shihashi rolls it square for Morishima. He's calling for it. Uchida instead goes up to the feet of Patrick with back to goal. Morishima keeps it in. Good well to do so. Support from Nogami. Kawa is there to gather it up. More confidence about the visitors now. Here goes Muto at the other end, with Osako in the middle. It's just beyond him, arriving with Sasaki. Let's see what he can do in the air already tonight. Those runs continue to be effective. Don't quite profit from that one, but it highlights the danger further, certainly. Back on the home side. In the context of the contest, as they try to apply some pressure of their own. Sisi looking for options in the middle. And he takes the corner. Jules has been watched wide. It's Sasaki again. With the head of Mateus Tula just in front of it. So what have Yoshida's side got by way of a response this time around? Having to do it the hard way again. Anyone, doesn't he, Deju Sasaki tonight, to come up with another when Kobe need it most. Set him off in pursuit of this as well, but across came Mikuni. Good well to clear. Hit the hand of Hirose. Stage of the contest, this, as we head towards the hour mark. Still committing plenty forward here. Nagoya Grampus for the free kick. Patrick the target. Nogami tries to pick up the pieces. Here is Morishima. Goal scorer Inagaki. Stick or twist from here. That's part of the fascination, isn't it, at this stage of the game? victory. Hamping it on in Inagaki again. He's the man in the mood right now. Kobe on the counter potentially. With Osaka. Sasaki had made the run. Kuni read it. He's been very solid so far at centre-back. His older brother Stevie playing in Singapore with Albirex Niigata these days. He is a former Japanese under-20 international. Nigerian dad, really making a name for himself in recent years. Last season with Amisco Fukuoka, where he started his career. 4-year contract he signed when he joined Nagoya Grampus for this season. Good run by Muto. Jean-Patrick has been forced to the fringes more latterly. Can he produce here? Hoists it in too close to the goalkeeper though. Hangarak able to deal with that comfortably. Talk is that he could be heading home, as I mentioned, at the end of the year. Potentially back to his former club, Melbourne Victory. After 7 seasons in Japan. He was called up actually by Australia just before the last World Cup in 2022, but didn't go to the finals and hasn't featured for his country since then. At the age of 35 now. His 8th cap may well have been his last. It's a foul on Mateus Tula by Inagaki. What a moment for him. What a wonderful goal. Really found the sweet spot. And it's that strike, that spectacular strike that separates the sides currently. Vissel Kobe trying to change that. All the way through for Sasaki. He's come up with one equalising goal already. Another is needed. This would be a major missed opportunity for Vissel Kobe should it stay this way. It's a big if at this stage. But with Machida Zelvia losing earlier in the day, they really would be left frustrated if they slip up here. Be long, you wouldn't have thought, before Yoshida makes some changes. Not too many obvious game changes on his bench though, because of the aforementioned injuries. Transfer window currently open in Japan. It's the struggling sides that have been doing the majority of the business so far in this particular window. Jean-Patrick on the run. Cut out and cleared by Mikuni. Not back in action until the 7th of August, that midweek round of fixtures. Vissel Kobe go to Kawasaki Frontale. They've got a couple of high-profile friendlies to play before then, notably against Spurs in the J.LEAGUE World Challenge at the National Stadium a week today. They also face the French side Reims the following Saturday. So no, it's a break from league action. It's really a summer break for Vissel Kobe. There's a distance on the throw this time. We saw the one right at the end of the first half that didn't come off, didn't we, from Natsusi? That was better. Mateus Tula trying to take advantage. Winning it in the air against Patrick. There's Ogihara, former title winner with Yokohama F. Marinos in 2019. He had 7 years with Cerezo Osaka. Experienced campaigner in that defensive midfield role. Here's Muto. Trying to wriggle all the way through maybe, and then goes down, but the free kick's gone the other way. Muto did have some support from Ideguchi, who was trying to help him out as well. Lovely first touch. The foul was given on Mikuni. He defended it well, really, in getting his body in the way, and drawing the foul from Yoshinori Muto, as it turned out. Test of character, this, for the champions. From behind, from here. Past opponents, just to remind you, who had lost each of their last 4 away games in this division. Only scoring 2 goals in those 4 matches. They've matched that already in the space of this one. There goes Morishima. He looked rather, hopefully in the referee's direction, went down rather spectacularly, but nothing doing. Should be pointed out as well, though, prior to those 4 straight away defeats, they'd been in good form on the road. And Nagoya Grampus, as that skips away from Muto. They'd actually won 5 of the previous 6 away games before their fortunes were somewhat dramatically reversed on the road. First change has to be made by the home side. Kikuchi coming on in place of Sean Patrick. It's not a huge surprise to see the Brazilian withdrawn at this stage. His influence has waned a little bit, but it will mean a bit of a reshuffle here. Kikuchi is a centre-back by trade. A change of shape from Yoshida, we shall see shortly. Far from a like-for-like alteration, that one. Nagoya Grampus long since played with this back 3, and you wonder if Vissel Kobe might be deciding now to try and match them up. Hashi forward. Mikuni. More height, really, than distance on his clearance. I think Hiroshi will move back into that attacking role, won't he? And Kikuchi slots in at right back. Hiroshi did play there last week, as I mentioned, in the game at Consadole, showing his versatility again. There's Yamakawa. Exactly how it's panned out. Kikuchi forward. Muto helps it on. Sasaki. Osako. So adept at holding on to the ball in those sort of situations. So they've got the free kick, but they would probably have preferred to have been able to play on there. Frustration building amongst the home fans. And it goes again. Kawazura didn't really get it away. Back from Kikuchi. Already trying to make his presence felt, only been on a minute or so. It's the 4th straight appearance off the bench for Miho Kikuchi. He suffered a serious cruciate ligament injury last season. Good to see him back fit again. Throw to come here. Susi. Let's get decent distance on that one. Wide into the mix it goes. Ogahara to try and return it. It skipped through a posse of players. It did take a touch, I think, on the way through, and so did the referee. Takehiro Ogihara, who struck it, still looking for his first goal of the season. all the way back actually to 2020 for his last in the Super Cup against Vissel Kobe for his former side Yokohama F. Marinos. He's up to win the corner though, which is delivered deep, and it was there to be attacked. The appeals are continuing from the Vissel Kobe players, Mateusz Tula in particular. I feel there was a foul or a possible handball in there. Let's have another look at it. It's just crowded out of it really between the two defenders. It's the handball that they're appealing for. Stretched left arm of Nogami. As the potential shout wasn't given, VAR having a look. And that check didn't take too long for Koji Takasaki, who has those responsibilities tonight in the booth. It would have been very harsh, I think. Here comes the throw, chance to keep the pressure on though, into these last 20 minutes now. Towards the substitute Kikuchi, who wasn't quite able to react in time. Just sitting deeper now, aren't they, Nagoya Grampus? Forced back to a certain extent. Not entirely intentional, I'm sure, but there's always the temptation the later the game goes. This lead to defend, and it goes towards Muto. Hit him rather than the other way around, really. And Mikuni was still required to deal with the danger. Could be a long last 20 minutes for Nagoya Grampus the way that it's beginning to go. As Kobe fans behind that goal, hopeful that the pressure is again beginning to build here. This time it will be Kikuchi with the throw, and he opts against delivering it directly. Mukihara instead. To Yamakawa. Touch for Ideguchi in there. Mukihara. Ideguchi. Controlling the tempo just now, Vissel Kobe. It goes towards Muto. Sasaki had made the run as well. Osakawa's in there. And couldn't quite get to the bouncing ball. It didn't favour him. And that's another moment survived by Nagoya Grampus in defence of this lead as we reach the final drinks break of the evening, with the outcome still very much in the balance here. And a chance to reflect again on that wonderful goal from Inagaki, that sweet strike that separates the sides. Patrick, of course, having put Nagoya Grampus in front in the first half into an open net. Self-inflicted wounds on that occasion from Vissel Kobe, but they responded pretty swiftly 11 minutes later when Sasaki was able to nod in the equaliser from Jean-Patrick's cross. That is how it stayed until this memorable volley from Sho Inagaki. Has his side on course as it stands still for a vital victory. Thanks to a moment to remember. They have just edged the on-target efforts, Nagoya Grampus, despite Kobe shading possession and overall shots at goal. I suspect that statistic might become a little further skewed in their favour in the circumstances in what remains of the contest. Can that Nagoya Grampus defence hold firm this time? Only Sagan Tosu and the bottom club Consadole have lost more games in J1 than Nagoya Grampus this season. Going into this weekend, be somewhat of a surprise if it ended all square, because they've only drawn 3 times all season, the fewest of any club in this league. Currently 11 points in 8 places behind Vissel Kobe coming into tonight. 8 points above the relegation zone. It does tend to be all or nothing away from home. They haven't had a draw actually on their travels all season. Only the leaders Machida and Vissel Kobe themselves have won more away games in J1 this season, but only 3 clubs have lost more than Nagoya Grampus. 5 wins and 6 defeats outside of Nagoya. Ogihara. Grampus ain't certainly, I think, content to afford their opponents possession now in this part of the pitch. We'll stick back behind the ball. Flick on is by Osako for Kikuchi. Hideguchi cutting back the cross. Here's Muto trying to reach it, trying to make something of it. Back in again. Well, nothing at the end of it this time. Just didn't quite sit for Yoshinori Muto. He had perhaps the pick of the openings in there, or might have done, had he been able to bring it under his spell. Changes from both sides at this juncture. Nanase Ino is going to come on for the home side, and we will see Izumi as well for Nagoya Grampus. Ryuji Izumi. He's missed the last 6 games with a hamstring injury. This is his return. He'll take the place of Nakayama. Somebody that Kenta Hasegawa will be grateful to have back available again. And Hiroshi is the player that has been withdrawn for the introduction of Ino. Might mean another little reshuffle as a result, we shall see. Decision going against Patrick. There's Kikuchi. Ino's playing ahead of him now on that right-hand side. More advanced role than he often occupies. A little bit of space here. This is Morishima going to reach it first, but the flag's up. And he and Patrick were scampering after that, but offside given. Time just beginning to tick away now. As soon as you reach really the last 10 minutes, the pressure builds, the frustrations maybe as far as Vissel Kobe are concerned will build as well. Cool heads required on a hot sticky night in Kobe. Here's Ogihara. And again, it's the one that will swing it in, and Langerak couldn't take the chance of letting it go behind. Such was the company that he was having to keep there in claiming it. Good goalkeeping from Mitchell Langerak. Ever present last season, he's missed just the 2 games so far this season. Captaining the club. It was the start of 2018 when he first joined from Levante. It was 200 J-League appearances at the end of last season. A record breaker in 2021 with 21 clean sheets, including a J-League record of 823 minutes without conceding a goal that year. Both the matches he missed this time around were back in April, 16 straight starts since then. No great hurry for Kawazura to take the free kick here. So towards Patrick, who got his head on it. Back in it goes towards Morishima again, cleared before it could reach Patrick. Well, that's cleverly done. And here is Ideguchi with space to surge into. And the ball needed to be better. Neither side able to hold on to it for too long. Opportunity here for Muto. That's a big block. Again, it was Mikuni's had a really good game. Got out to him quickly. Nick Spensoni at the corner. That's 10 minutes now of the 90. Ryo Hatsushi to take this corner kick for Vissel Kobe. He needs something, and pretty soon. Threateningly, and who's going to be quickest to react? Partially cleared by Patrick, then away by Mikuni. As far as Ideguchi. But they're defending with diligence, defending with discipline, Nagoya Grampus right now. Mind's certainly sharpened and focused by the sustained spell of Vissel Kobe attacking. Understandable in the circumstances, given how this is so beautifully poised at this stage. All the way back here to Maikawa. Osako. Goals in his last 4 games in all competitions for Yuya Osako. Hasn't really had a sight of one so far tonight. When he wasn't scoring earlier in the season, his hold-up play so important. We've seen aspects of that again tonight as the tussle continues here. Muto on the move, did well. Kept hold of the ball and found Kikuchi, who advances, but no further. And Nogami, good ball. As was that from Morishima. Here's Patrick to try and wrap it up, maybe. Just shepherded away from immediate danger. And now pulled back by the flag. Well, it's a fine line that Vissel Kobe are having to tread. Further illustrated by that Nagoya Grampus break. Has been fairly central to the story, Patrick, so far this evening. Looking to script a definitive chapter. That was close, wasn't it? Not the easiest to decipher from that angle, but it was good defending that shepherded him away from immediate danger anyway by Hatsushi, who came across. Ended the argument somewhat academic in the end. Looks like another change on the way to try and help his team over the line. Before that victory against Kashiwa Reysol by this 2-1 scoreline 6 days ago, they'd lost 4 on the bounce. They hadn't won in 7 games, Nagoya Grampus. It has been a season of surge and slump. And are they heading back in the right direction again? Actually scored more than once in any of their last 10 games in all competitions before that 2-1 win against Reysol last Sunday. 2 that they've matched already tonight. There might have been more. Might still be time for more yet. 2 wins in their last 11 games in all competitions coming here, both against Kashiwa Reysol. Well, Ha Chang-rae is coming on, a centre-back for a centre-forward. Sums up the story at the moment as they try and hold on to what they have. Patrick is the one that set them on their way, given a helping hand, of course, in the build-up. The nature of the defending that presented him with his opportunity to score, only his second league goal of the season. His part is played, and an extra defender on. And the South Korean Ha Chang-rae, a regular for most of the season. He's first at the club since he joined from Pohang Steelers back home. A form that has earned him an international call-up for the first time earlier in the summer. Still waiting for a first cap. He is on for the conclusion. The final 5 of the 90, a free kick to face first. And it goes towards Kikuchi, who was a little too eager to ensure he got on the end of it. And the decision goes against him. Did have his arm across and brought down Yamagishi, so was always likely to be given, I think, that one. Well, 2-1 is how it finished here last season in favour of Vissel Kobe, when they clinched that league title with a game to spare. And they ended up actually, of course, winning the championship pretty comfortably in the end. With a late surge of form, they're going to need something similar this season. Ended up 7 points clear of Yokohama F. Marinos. Six of the last 7 games of 2023 to take the title. Nagoya weren't actually that far behind them with just 6 matches to play before they fell away. The campaigns ended in very different directions. They finished 19 points behind them in the end, but they were only 8 points adrift with 6 games to go. Never quite found the consistency under Kenta Hasegawa really at any point of his time in charge. The best season being his first, when they finished up 8th. 5 places, 6 points above Vissel Kobe. There is Morishima. And it was a good run initially, and he had other options. Didn't make the most of it. Kishi would have been the passage, the one he's trying to pick, I think, but without the accuracy required. Kuni. He's going to make sure that was his. He gets the free kick at the end of it as well. Another change. Vissel Kobe's goal scorer coming off here. Deji Sasuke's part is played. Scored their first equaliser. They are rapidly running out of time if there is to be a second equaliser. On comes Yamauchi. He did start last weekend, but was brought off at half-time in the game at Consadole. It's his first senior season out of university, having previously been in the club's youth ranks. He's on for the conclusion. Urgency required here from Kobe. They only won one of their first 5 games at home this season. They lost 3 of those, but they had seemingly turned their fortunes around in front of their own fans before tonight. This would be a significant setback. The best home defensive record in the division. coming into this evening. Now they need to find their threat at the other end to try and undo some of the damage. Even a point before the game would have represented something of a missed opportunity. Well, they might well settle for that. Try and salvage something. This could be the opportunity to do so. It's in! It's 2-2 in the last minute of the 90. Real drama late in the piece to rescue it for the champions. And how about that for a substitution as well? Goalkeeper will maybe feel he should have saved that because the shot was struck straight at him, but it was struck with plenty of power. Kokuro Yamauchi has only been on a matter of moments. It's only his second ever goal in senior football. It's one that has squared this up at 2-2, going into 6 additional minutes, and potentially time yet for the champions to turn it around in its entirety, because the mood inside the NOEVIR Stadium has changed in its entirety. Instant impact off the bench. And now Nagoya Grampus need to respond in kind. It's the return of Takuya Shigehiro, who's just back from a loan spell in South Korea with FC Seoul earlier in the season. His first appearance of the current campaign for Nagoya Grampus, for whom he appeared just 3 times off the bench last year. He's on for stoppage time. Well, I'm not sure that Yamauchi had even been on a minute before he got his goal. And there'll be an even later twist. It's been really well worked. Will it open up for the shot? Kawazura. Away by Ogihara. The counter was on for a moment. It might still be on for a moment, but the whistle had gone. Well, it's not disappointed as a spectacle. A little shove from behind on Osako, the reason for the referee's whistle, and it has brought about belatedly the first caution of the game. Well, Chang-Rei into the book, hasn't been on long either. South Korean centre-back sees yellow. Free kick taken up towards Kikuchi. There's Ino to deliver the cross. Cleared as far as Osako. Ball in by Yamakawa. Oh, it's there! Incredible! Kikuchi. 3-2 Vissel Kobe. An astonishing conclusion. A comeback of champions. 2-1 down in the last minute of the 90. They lead 3-2. The defenders combining here. In by Yamakawa. And then rising highest, Ryuho Kikuchi. What a difference that Yoshida's substitutions have made tonight, as it's turned out. An incredible script that they're writing. His first goal since October of 2022. Player who missed most of last season with a cruciate ligament injury. He's come off the bench in the last 4 matches now in succession. And this time he has had potentially the decisive say. Can't quite say it with certainty yet, But the way that Vissel Kobe have summoned up this sort of spirit, this sort of resolve, the way that they've dug deep and turned it around, speaks volumes about the character of champions. And it could make such a difference to their season as well. It would take them within 5 points of top spot, heading into the little mini summer break, but they still got work to do yet to see this through. This will be so tough to take for Nagoya Grampus. So close to back-to-back victories, but instead now staring at a 5th defeat in 6. Let's see what they've got from here. Referee with some sorting out to do first. Massive moment this. A little bit to add on, now potentially beyond the 6, but there's a free kick unnecessarily really given away. And it's a game that's had a little bit of everything. It would appear to have had a late winner. Vissel will give chase here, away by Mikuni. Gucci beaten to the bouncing ball. Free kick is for Nagoya Grampus. We play on here at the referee's discretion. Thought about it, didn't he, Langerak? Everybody else has gone forward. Goalkeeper has come and hasn't got there, and the open goal for a moment was waiting. Finally they get back. Vissel Kobe scramble it clear. What's been given here? There's a yellow card that has come out as well. It's all going on at the end. And was that a possible penalty? This is massive. Well, I think that is what has been given, and looking at that, you can see why Maikawa came to try and collect, didn't get there, caught Yamagishi. Referee had a good view of it. The right fist connecting with the side of the head. Oh, Maikawa, he's been cautioned, but there is more to come, and there has been more late drama. This is astonishing. A penalty for Nagoya Grampus to earn some reward after all. And from the evidence that we've just seen, an indisputable decision. But questions certainly over the decision-making of the goalkeeper in trying to cover the distance to reach that he did. Catching only Yuya Yamagishi instead. Well, talk about pressure. Looks like he's going to take it himself, as he know it's going to be left for Inagaki, who's made his mark on a memorable evening already. Can show Inagaki now rescue something for his side. Up against Maikawa. Shown yellow for conceding the penalty. Can he now make himself the hero? He saved his last 2. It's a long wait for Inagaki, trying to double his goal tally for the season in the space of this one remarkable Kobe evening. It all comes down to this. It's been a lengthy wait, hasn't it? In every sense. We're now wanting a word with Maikawa telling him not to come off his line. He's already shown him the yellow card for conceding this kick. Inagaki to try and level it, and does! Thumps it in for 3-3. An even later twist. In a game now that looks set surely to end with honours even, that will satisfy neither. Astonishing. Second goal of the game for Sho Inagaki, a brilliant volley, and now a pressure penalty. And these twists just keep coming. It was right into the side netting as it needed to be, because Maikawa, who gave it away, went the right way in trying to keep it out, but he couldn't reach that. We reached the 100-minute mark, and it proves the last kick of an enthralling contest. Well, Kobe almost lost it. They were seconds away from winning it, and the champions, pegged back right at the end, have had to settle for a point. Where do you start in reflecting on that, in assessing what we've just seen? That's what both coaches are currently trying to do as the dust settles on an unforgettable contest. It's really sparked into life late in the game. Barely believably, it's finished. Vissel Kobe 3, Nagoya Grampus 3. And it was a game that had a little bit of everything. For so long it was entertaining without being particularly memorable, but that all changed before the finish. Vissel Kobe 2-1 down in the last minute of the 90, levelled it, and then scored again in stoppage time to seemingly snatch it, only to concede a penalty with the last play of the game. Taya Maikawa, the keeper, punching Yamagishi rather than the ball as he came racing off his line. And up stepped Sho Inagaki, who had given Nagoya Grampus the lead with a super volley in the second half. Kept his composure to power home the penalty as well, and ensure that Kenta Hasegawa's side leave with some reward that they will feel that they are entitled to, given the part that they played. Yoshida's side, who'd gone behind in the first half and levelled it through Sasaki, looked to have turned it around in the most dramatic of circumstances, only for that late twist to leave them with this feeling of deflation at the finish. They've been right through the range of emotions tonight. That is true of both sets of players, both sets of supporters. What a watch it has been for the neutral as well. I hope you've enjoyed it with us. Remarkable game that in the end doesn't necessarily do too much for either. There's a missed opportunity for Kobe, particularly in the context of the leaders Machida Zelvia losing a little earlier in the evening. They have closed that gap at the top, but only by a further point. With Kashima Antlers winning today as well, Sanfrecce in action tomorrow.
素晴らしいスーパーボレー、そして最後プレッシャーかかる場面での PK、 2ゴール3対3という結果になりました。まずはどんなゲームになりましたか？
もう見てもらった通り本当にタフなゲームでしたし、最後までどっちに転ぶかわからない、本当に全員が戦い切ったゲームだったかなと思います。
最後の PK のラストプレーというシーンでしたけど、かなりプレッシャーあったと思いますが、どんな